In this video, you'll learn how to create change proposal requests, or CPRs. As soon as you become aware that a change to the project could be required, you can create a change proposal request, also called a CPR. CPRs let you track and document requests for change, from inception to acceptance or rejection by the owner. Each CPR includes the scope of the change, a list of impacted vendors, the impact to the schedule, and the cost. CPRs can be created for all contract types, but they are more common for fixed lump sum and unit price contracts. With cost-plus contracts, changes are generally initiated in a change order, and we'll talk about prime contract change orders in the next video. A given CPR could impact multiple vendors on the project, and the CPR can be used to collect pricing and schedule information from all parties through TeamLink portal before submitting it to the owner. Once a CPR is approved, you can easily convert it to a change order. Change proposal requests do not affect the project financials until they've been converted to an approved change order. You can also use the CPR to Procurement Wizard to generate purchase orders and subcontract change orders related to the change. You'll need to have a couple of components in place before you create CPRs. The prime contract must have an approved status with a status date. Any default CPR/CO markup should be set up on the prime contract so you can import them to the CPR. This process is explained in the videos on prime contracts. Job cost codes must have been added to the project and prime contract. To create a CPR, on the Contract Administration Overview page, next to CPRs, click Add Manually. Notice that you can also import from an estimate or a work order. On the first screen, select the prime contract, and then much of the information is filled in automatically. CPR numbering can be formatted in settings, and in the last video of this lesson I'll go over all of the settings related to change management. I'll also show you where you can customize the initiated by list so you can include that information with each CPR. A subject is required. In order for subcontractors and vendors to enter pricing for CPRs through TeamLink portal, the CPR must be in pending or pending submittal status. Once the CPR is set to approved or not approved, the items will be locked for further editing. Notice that when you enter a scope of work for the change, you can't import the boilerplate scopes from settings, because CPRs are usually more specific to the project. Boilerplate language is less likely to apply. Next, you can link drawings and RFIs to this CPR, as well as entering a location, spec section, and other information. For schedule impact, if you clear the to be determined later checkbox, you can enter the requested estimated number of days to add to the project. We'll leave this checkbox selected for now, and click Next. In the next window, you'll select the vendors and contacts that might be impacted by the CPR, and then click Add and Next. You can upload any files needed to evaluate the request, and you can also link any existing drawings, specs, photos, or other files that have already been linked to the project. When you click Finish, you're taken to the CPR overview page. If you will self-perform any of the scope, you can add your items to the CPR. If you added impacted vendors, you can send the CPR to them to request pricing. We'll start by adding self-perform items. Scroll to the CPR Proposed Items section, and click Add/Import Items. Notice that you can add items manually, or import them from the cost database, estimates, a spreadsheet, or from job cost codes. Any items that you add manually will not be updated when you import items submitted by the impacted vendors, so only add manual items for those not covered by subs or vendors, such as self-performed items. These items are simply to track additional costs associated with the change. We'll look at a couple of these methods. First, we'll add items manually. The item's header area lets you enter details about the item, including quantity and unit price. Note that this unit price is the sell rate, the amount you'll charge the project owner for the item, and it should be greater than the sum of the resource costs we'll enter below, to ensure you make a profit. This is one common way of ensuring the correct markups are added to the CPR. With this method, you won't see markups as separate line items when you send the CPR to the owner. In a moment, you'll see how to import any markups you've added as default CPR/CO markups for the prime contract. If you use that method, markups will be broken out onto their own line when you send the CPR for review. The unit quantity you enter is used for the cost calculations in the CPR Proposed Item Cost Budget Details section below. The price for each budget line should reflect the same unit of measure that you used for the sell rate. Select a job cost code for the item and a tax code if applicable. Then click Save and Close. Now let's add a couple more items using an import spreadsheet. Remember that all spreadsheet import templates can be found in Help. Click the Help Center, Getting Started, and click the topic Import Options from Microsoft Excel. Under Contract Administration, click the CPR Proposed Items link. This topic explains the steps to import CPR items, with a link to a sample template and the list of columns to include. In this example, the import spreadsheet we'll use includes 2 items. Back in Sage Construction Management, click Add/Import Items. Import from Excel. Select the spreadsheet to import. Now let's send the CPR to the impacted vendors to enter pricing. Click Actions, Send Pricing Request. We'll leave the default template selected and click OK. In the Email CPR Pricing Request window, you can modify the recipient and CC lists, add any attachments, and review the email that will be sent. Then, click Send Email. Let's see how this looks from the perspective of the vendor. They'll receive the email and click the link to open the TeamLink portal. This takes them right to the CPR, where they can add items. Once they've added the items, they'll click Save. If you want to be able to convert the change proposal request into procurement documents such as purchase orders, subcontract change orders, or subcontracts later, you'll need to import the items added by impacted vendors, so let's look at that. Back in Sage Construction Management, note that the unit price is the amount you'll charge the project owner for each item, whereas the cost budget is the amount you expect the work to cost. When the unit price is greater than the cost budget, it means that these items already have markup built into them. Separately from markups we'll add to the change order later. We'll return to the CPR items list and click Add/Import Items, Import Impacted Company Items. The list shows the item that was just added by the vendor. We'll select it, then select a cost code for the item, and click Add and Close. As you saw earlier, one way to add markups to the change proposal request is to add them into the sell rate for individual items. This prevents those amounts from appearing as a separate line item when you send the CPR to the project owner. You can also apply any default markups for CPRs and change orders that you've set up in the prime contract. With this method, they will appear as a separate line item. Click Add/Import Items, Import/Apply Change Markups, and you'll see those default markups. Click Import Markups to add them to the CPR. When you've finished adding items and markups, you'll have a couple of other areas to check. Click Edit at the top of the CPR window, and scroll down to the Schedule Impact section. When you've assessed the impact to the schedule of the CPR, you can clear the Schedule Impact checkbox and enter the number of estimated days. Now that we've collected all information needed to complete this CPR, let's send it to the project owner. Click Reports, CPR Proposal. For the format, we'll summarize by owner code and leave the default template selected. For the export option, select Email PDF and then click OK. Review the recipients and CC lists, attach any files, and review the email. Then click Send Email. Once the owner reviews the CPR and responds, you can edit the header information and change the status to approved or not approved. CPRs in approved status can be converted to change orders, and you can use the CPR to Procurement Wizard to generate procurement documents. In this video, you learned how to create a CPR, add items, request pricing from impacted vendors, and send the CPR to the owner.